Hi everyone, my name's Laura and this is my Beaver Scout friend Mole. Why is he called Mole? Well, when I was a Beaver Scout leader, my name was Mole, and so I've named my soft toy Beaver Scout Mole. And we're here today to explain a fun activity about penguins and their poo, and hopefully it's going to help you to get your science badge. So what do you need to do this activity? Well, first of all, you need 3 penguins. Now you might have penguins around the house. I've managed to find a wooden one and 2 soft toy ones. You might be feeling creative, in which case you could draw some penguins. I've provided some instructions about how you might make one from a paper plate, and also how you might make one from a plastic cup or a toilet roll inner. Or if you haven't got any access to any of those, don't worry, I've also provided a sheet that says choose your penguins. Now if you're using this sheet, you don't need to worry about the next steps, and all become clear in a moment. However, if like me, you've got some live penguins, then what you need to do is to think of a number between 2 and 5 for each penguin and write that down somewhere. So I've got some sticky post-it notes. So for this one, I think 5. So I'm going to put a post-it note with a 5 underneath his bottom. And then another number between 2 and 5, 4. Okay, going to stick that to this one's bottom. And then another number between 2 and 5, 2, 3, 4 or 5. I'm going to go with 2. So I've put a post-it note under this one. So now I have 3 penguins and they've all got a number that's either a 2, a 3, a 4 and a 5 under their bottoms. Now why am I doing that? Well, that's a very good question. I've also sent you a photograph. This is my photograph. And it's of something brown on the snow. And it's a photograph that's taken from space. Now it's not actually a photograph of penguins on the snow. It's of the brown stuff they leave behind. It's a photo of penguin poo. Now, we can use that photo of penguin poo to work out how many penguins there are in that colony. And why would we need to do that? Well, we need to check that the penguins are okay. And the best way of doing that is to check that the numbers are the same year on year. So, are there the same number of penguins in a colony each year? Now we could obviously fly all the way to Antarctica and we could stand there and we could count them, but it's really expensive, it's really cold, and penguins all look the same, so it's really difficult to count them. And so by taking a photograph from space, we can actually do the counting from the safety of our own homes. Now we can't take a photo of each individual penguin to be able to count them that way. So what we have to do is to take a photograph of their poo and then work out how many penguins have produced that amount of poo. And how do we do that? Well, this is where our soft toy or our artwork or our drawing penguins come into play. What we need to do is to imagine, can you do that? Imagine that these are local penguins. So perhaps they're from Blue Planet Aquarium or Chester Zoo. Because we can go to those places easily when we're allowed out. And there we can look at the penguins and we can work out how much poo each penguin produces. Now if you're using your choose your own penguins sheet, then you'll notice that next to their name is the amount of poo they produce. So for example, Roland here produces 3 meters squared of poo. So I've got these 3 penguins. This one produces 5 meters squared of poo in a year. This one produces 4 meters squared of poo in a year. And this one produces 2 meters squared of poo per year. So the first thing I need to do is to work out the mean or the average amount of poo that the penguins produce. So what does one typical penguin produce? Now you can do this perhaps in your head, but most likely with a calculator. What you need to do is to add the numbers together. So we've got a 5 plus 4, that makes 9, and then add 2, 9 plus 2 is 11. And then we need to do 11 divided by 3. So let me just use my calculator. 11 divided by 3 is 3.7-ish meters squared of poo. So on average, the penguins produce 3.7 meters squared of poo. Okay, kind of cool. But why is that useful? Well, if we go back to this photo, we can work out what's called the surface area. So we can work out how much poo that brown splodge is. Now, I did a bit of maths behind the scenes, and don't worry, you're not going to need to do this for your activity or for your science badge. But I've worked out that that brown splodge is 20,000 metres squared of poo. So 20,000 is a really big number. In fact, it's about half the capacity of the Everton and the Liverpool football stadium, to give you some sort of idea. That's a massive amount of poo. But we can use that to work out how many penguins have produced that poo. What we need to do is to do 20,000 on our calculator, 20,000. Make sure you've got the right number of noughts. You need 1, 2, 3, 4 noughts. And then you're going to divide it by the average, the mean amount of poo that the penguins produced. So in my case, that was 3.7. So I've just worked out that in this colony of penguins that have produced this brown poo, there are 5,405 penguins. How cool is that? Now, I realise that there's 2 maths formulae there that you might not have remembered, but don't worry, I've also provided some instruction sheets, and the 2 formula that you need are here. Basically, to do the average, you add up the 3 numbers of poo divided by 3, then you remember that number or write it down, and then you do the surface area of poo, that big number, 20,000, a 2 with 4 noughts, and you divide it by the mean amount of poo that you got before. And that will explain and show you how many penguins are in your colony of penguins. I really hope you've enjoyed this activity. It's one of my favourites because it involves fluffy penguins, but it also involves their poo, which is quite cool. Good luck with your science badge. I really hope you enjoy it. Thanks very much.